You've underestimated everything I've been through. I think you can't imagine all the things that I can do. Watch this.
Hello everyone. In today's episode, we're going to make pork chops with maple sausage stuffing and gravy. This is a level 2 because of the timing, as well as it's a little bit more complex than some of the other recipes we have covered. We're actually going to use some seasonings. This is one of those great dinners that can feed 4. However, for the video, I will only make 2 pork chops and save half of the stuffing and the gravy for the next day. This is something I throw together in about 10 minutes or so, and it works great for special occasions or just because it's Friday. I'm going to be honest, this looks like it takes a lot more time than it does, but in the kitchen we smile, nod, and graciously accept the praise. It makes up for all those times we cook something difficult, but we made it look too easy. Moving on. As this is a pork-based entree, you can swap out some of the ingredients, however, you may need to experiment. While I have not tried it, you could swap out the pork with chicken and/or turkey. I am always concerned when dealing with pork, as there are some nasty risks if it is eaten when it is undercooked. So to prevent these issues, I cook it well done and use fully pre-cooked pork products for these recipes. Now don't let that fool you. This is a recipe I've customized over the last couple of years, so it's not just a off-the-shelf type product. The stuff you will need. Pork chops, fully cooked. As I said before, the recipe can feed 4, but I'll only be cooking 2 in the video. 4 servings of maple fully cooked sausage. This works well with regular and other flavored sausage, but this is my favorite. I find that the maple gives some sweet flavor without going overboard. Oh, look, a box of stuffing mix. The flavor is a bit optional. Use chicken, turkey, they're all pretty good. Gravy. This is the one I like. Why is this turkey when there's no turkey anywhere else in this? Well, that's easy. This originally started off as a Thanksgiving recipe. Chicken gravy and mushroom gravy will also work if you have preferences on those. A 14-ounce can of chicken broth. I use this instead of water for the stuffing, and then the rest of it I use in the gravy. Olive oil. I will use about a tablespoon when cooking the pork chops. Montreal chicken seasoning. This is a pre-mixed seasoning blend that I will use on the pork chops. Garlic powder. If you want to mince fresh garlic, it will work, but I find that the powder is a bit easier to use. Basil. A little to taste, but we're not going to go too crazy. Oregano. Another leafy green thing. Salt and pepper. We will use it to taste. A measuring cup, because too much or not enough can ruin this. A fry pan with a lid. This should be large enough to hold all the pork chops that you plan to make. A 2-quart saucepan. This is for preparing the stuffing. A 1-quart saucepan, and this will be used for the gravy. A can opener. This is one of those times when I find that this specific brand of chicken broth and side opening can openers do not work well together. Depending on your brand, you may want to use a top opener like the one displayed here. And, if you're lucky, you can make a great plate of pork chops with maple sausage stuffing and gravy just like this. Now, let's get cooking. I'm going to cut up the sausage into small little pieces. I've tried a food processor before, but I find that this doesn't taste as good when the meat is finely ground. Also, as these are fully cooked, I'm going to cut them while they're cold. There will be some fat left on the sausage, and we are going to want that. Then I will add in a tablespoon of butter, a little less than the instructions say, but with the sausage having the added fat, this works. I will then add 1 1/4 cups of chicken broth, approximately 10 ounces. The cans I get are 14, so I'll use the leftover for the gravy. At this point, I'll turn on the heat to a medium-high and let it slowly get to a boil, stirring it a little here and there just to mix it up. I will then prepare the gravy, pour the rest of the broth into the gravy pan, and then pour in the bottle of gravy. I will keep the bottle on the side to hold the leftover gravy. I will then start adding spices to both the gravy and the stuffing, starting with some freshly ground black pepper, not too much, but a little bit to taste, some basil. I find a couple shakes is all you need, about 6 or 7 taps should do it, and then I'm going to stir it. This way when I'm adding the oregano, I know how much I'm adding. And look, oregano. I find a light dusting across the top of the gravy, and about twice the amount of the basil that I used works. Garlic powder, and remember this will pour a little faster than leafy spices. Then stir it all up and put it on the side for now. This is the point where we will start to preheat the pork chop pan and add in our tablespoon of olive oil. I will add in the pork chops and move them around a little and then flip them over. I want both sides to have a light coating of the olive oil, and then I'll set the timer for 4 minutes and cover them so that it doesn't splatter and make a mess. It is about now where the broth should be starting to boil, at which point we'll take it off of the heat. We will stir the sausage and broth mixture, and then we will add the breadcrumbs from the stuffing mix. Then mix everything up so that everything is well blended. Put the lid on top of the saucepan, and we'll set it aside for 5 minutes. We can now use the range that the stuffing was using to start heating up the gravy. Stir it up a couple times and we'll let it sit there for a minute or two. At about this point, the timer should be going off for the pork chops, so we'll flip those over. At this point, we'll add some of the Montreal chicken spice on top of the pork chop and set the timer for another 4 minutes and let it cook uncovered. When the timer goes off, I will flip the pork chops once again, and I'll sprinkle some seasoning onto the top of them, turn off the heat, and let it sit there for about 2 minutes. At this point, the gravy should be nice and hot, so we'll give it a stir, and we'll take it off the burner. The stuffing should also have sat long enough. It only takes 5 minutes, so we'll use a fork and stir it up to break up the big chunks. At this point, we can just put it on plates. We're done. And this is a very filling dinner plate. I see pork chops with maple sausage stuffing, nicely seasoned gravy, and that looks like victory. As mentioned before, this is something that I prepare for 2. This means that there are leftovers. I find the stuffing is good for about 2 to 3 days. Add a little gravy, microwave it for 30 seconds to a minute, stir, add another 30 seconds or so until it's hot, and I find that it works. Hopefully you find this recipe as delicious as I do, and until next time, remember to cook the easy way. If you find this video entertaining, then like, share, and subscribe.
Everything I've worked for is resting on this moment. Don't know what I love more, the fight or the focus. I'm always in the shadows, hardly know that I exist. Think you're the best, but get ready for the plot twist. Watch this!